What's up, you guys? I'm Carl from Street Shooter and I'm in Los Angeles, California. I'm down here to shoot the West Hollywood Halloween Carnaval. It's one of the biggest Halloween festivals in the world. 500,000 people are going to be descending on Santa Monica Boulevard tonight, dressed to the nines in outrageous costumes and partying till the wee hours of the morning. And I'm going to shoot the whole thing. This year, I've decided to shoot the whole thing on this little guy, Ricoh GR II. What? You're shooting with a Ricoh GR II? What the H? Yeah, I've wanted to review this camera for a long time, and when I realized it was coming up on Halloween and I was going to be down here, I thought, hey, this is a great way to test out what this camera can do. So far, I've been super duper impressed. It's got a beautiful lens. The interface is fantastic. It's super easy to use. This is a great little camera. I'm going to get more into that a little bit later, but first, I'm going to do a little bit of sightseeing. I'm going to check out the city. I got to get home, have a nap, and charge up all my batteries so that I'm ready to go. Can you see it? Hollywood. Can you see it? It's up there. Hollywood sign, I'm in Hollywood. Let's go! Let's go have some fun! Very few cameras in history have inspired photographers as much as the GR series. It's almost legendary status in the street photography world. Myself personally, way back in the film days of photography, I used to shoot with the GR1V, and I gotta tell you, it was my favorite camera of all time. I think in 2013, let me check my notes. Checking notes, yeah, in 2013, they came out with the original GR APS-C version, the predecessor to this camera. And everyone was like, what? It's such a small, tiny little camera and it's got an APS-C sensor. It's gotta be fantastic. And then Fuji came out with the X100 and everyone was like, ooh, shiny Fuji, want that. So it's not that this got overlooked, but it didn't get the fanfare that it might have deserved. This is a wafer thin little tiny camera with an APS-C sensor in it. You can't sneeze at that. So, but I mean, you know, it wasn't perfect, but it was really, really good, and a lot of guys liked it. Then in 2015, they brought out the GR Digital II, which is what I've got here, and it was exactly the same as the GR Digital 1, or the GR1, the G. It's so confusing because they're all called GR. This is the APS-C GR II, as opposed to the APS-C GR1. From now on, I'm just gonna call them GR and GR2, okay? So the GR means the APS-C, anyways. They came with, it was exactly the same sensor, same ISO performance. They increased the buffer a little bit and added this little Wi-Fi hump. It's like a little hump. Can you see that hump? It's a little hump if you wanna use Wi-Fi. So here it is. What's so big about this camera? Well, it's just that it's so easy and great to use, and the image quality is still fantastic. For some reason, these Ricoh lenses just have a quality to them. I don't know, it's got its own unique character, and that's enough to carry a camera for me. But this one has so much more. This camera comes with a 16.2 megapixel sensor. Feels a little dated. It's a little, I mean, everyone's like 20, 24 megapixel now, but it's not enough. It's just like, it'd be nice if it felt a little bit more modern. We're holding out hopes for a GR3. Hi, Ricoh, if you're watching this, please make a GR3. Anyways, that's another thing. It's got 18mm lens, which is like 28mm equivalent. You know, there's two camps. There's 35mm, there's 28mm street guys. I've been a 35mm street guy, but I might be reconsidering because I've had so much fun playing with this. It's got amazing color science. The colors out of this camera, straight out of the camera, look great. Especially you'll notice in the reds. The reds just simply don't glow like most digital cameras. There's very little you have to do to this in post to actually get the files from this camera looking great. So that's amazing. I'm really happy about that. Shoots in digital negative format. That was a thing for a while. Adobe was like, hey, let's do digital negative so everything's compatible. And then everyone was like, no. So not many people use digital negative format anymore, but it is in DNG. I don't know if that really makes a difference in the end of the day, but it's just something to, oh, I got a hair. Just something to consider. So keep that in mind. It's got one-handed operation. If you look at the interface, anyone who's held this camera knows, first you're like, oh, this is like super duper foreign. Everything's like crowded in here. But you use it for half an hour and it becomes second nature. Everything can be handled by where your thumb falls and your finger. The manipulation of this camera, the operation of this camera becomes second nature really quickly. So man, I can't say enough about that. If you've never used or played with a GR, go to a store and look at one and just put it in your hand and think about the way that it works. From simply manual exposure, aperture, shutter speed, it's just right at your fingertips at all times. It's really great. And you know, while we're talking about touching this camera and how easy the controls are to operate, I have to mention the magnesium alloy body with this matte black, like super luxurious finish. Number one, it's stealthy. You're shooting on the street, you don't want to attract a lot of attention to yourself, but more importantly, it just feels so nice in the hand. This is a premium product, and honestly, considering the price that these are selling for now, it's a bargain. So yeah, like it a lot. It's got the snap modes. It's essentially hyperfocal shooting. You set it to a distance of 1.5, 2.5 meters, whatever you like, and then the camera is always pre-focused to that distance. So depending on the aperture that you're using, you can set the camera to your hyperfocal distance and just go and have a great day shooting and not worry about it. It's just a great way to shoot. The camera's always pre-focused, so you just see something, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot. But this adds one other mode. This adds a full press snap mode. So if you're in autofocus mode, you can have half press autofocus. So if you've got a subject up close, if you want to do a quick portrait of someone, you can half press and focus on them. But if you want to go back to snap shooting or hyperfocal shooting on the street, just quick press. Just fully press without the half stop. And it goes into whatever your snap focus distance is. That's fantastic. That's super versatile. You don't have to switch modes, you don't have to flip a button, you just go and it's done. Now for me, honestly, because I'm so used to shooting in hyperfocal mode, I don't use that because I don't use it. I'm used to keeping the shutter half pressed all the time, so there's less travel for my finger. So it was confusing me, so I just turned that part off. But I think a lot of people are gonna find that useful. It's a great way to operate. For me, this camera is, it's a wrist strap camera. It's always on my hand, and I'm ready to shoot. I'm just ready to go. And for a while, this was making me loosey-goosey, right? I was like, just shoot anything. Dido Moriyama, stray dog, take a pic. And I was getting really shit results. And I was talking to my friend Rinzi here in LA, and you know, he's like, well, why don't you just use it the way you'd use your normal camera, but frame using the LCD? And I'm like, what? Ow, that really hurt. I was like, what? Oh, that makes so much sense. So I started rethinking that, and then just having the freedom of this tiny little camera that was responsive, that I knew had great image quality, and started making images again the way that I would normally make images. And man, I haven't looked back. This has been a delight to use every step of the way. And I like it. There's no viewfinder in this camera. So that's kind of a problem for me, or it was kind of a problem for me, because I was like loosey-goosey. I was like, oh, shoot, shoot, shoot. But the size and the fact that there's no viewfinder, it kind of changes the way that you interact with the world. If you're sort of looking at something, you think a shot might come out, and you do this, that's drawing attention to yourself, and people are going to tend to look at you. But if you just go like this, people think, oh, he's just looking at his camera, he's checking to see what his picture looks like, or whatever. You get away with a little bit more. You can get shots in a few more situations without drawing a lot of attention to yourself. That's nice. And what I'm finding is that's encouraging spontaneity with photography. It's encouraging me to keep it in my hand all the time. And if something interesting is coming up, just grab a little quick shot. It's so fast to grab a little quick shot. Just get it. It's good. Have fun. Shoot pictures. I can talk till the cows come home about how much I like using this camera, but it is a review, so I got to talk about the image quality. And you know, I'm going to show you some sample pics. Everyone always says, oh, you don't show any sample pics when you do your reviews. Well, of course not. I show some, but if you're judging the quality of a camera's images by looking at an image on YouTube that's been compressed 3 or 4 times, you're missing the point of photography altogether. Go to streetshooter.com, look at the full written review for this. There'll be full-size images, but this is some of the shots that I've taken with this camera over the past few days. The contrast, the color contrast, I'm not going to say this looks filmic, but it looks different than any other digital camera that I've used. Fuji's got its looks, Fuji's got its colors, Ricoh has its look. It's really strong, it holds up. It's enough to make me want to keep shooting with this camera because I like the way that everything looks so much. So, hey, it's up to you. You look at the results, see if you like them, but man, I'm really loving it. I'm really digging the picture quality on this camera. Oh, here, 28mm lens. Dude, was good enough for Winogrand. It's been good enough for a lot of street photographers. I am a steadfast. I am like, no, 35 millimeter or nothing. I think I might be changing my mind. You know what that means? Leica Q around the corner. No, I must never buy a Leica Q. I might. No, don't. 28 mil's great. It's just, you're taking a couple steps closer to your subject. I like it. I like the idea of being in a crowd. Like last night, I was shooting amid 500,000 people. I think it was actually 400,000, but for all intents and purposes, it's 500,000 people being right in the middle of the action and knowing that I had a little bit of room to maneuver with this 28 millimeter lens. I knew that I had a little bit of extra depth of field with this 28 millimeter lens. I knew that I could create dynamic relationships with this 28 millimeter lens. 28 millimeter equivalent lens, it's an 18.3 millimeter lens. There's lots to be said for it. The more I shoot, the more I realize that all my ideas about shooting are probably wrong and I should just rethink everything. But right now I'm digging the 28 millimeter focal length. So hey, you got it. And I should say that it's got a weirdo crop mode if you want to simulate 35 millimeter field of view. It just crops the sensor. So if you're really stuck, just crop it and you're gonna have, I think, a 14 or 12 megapixel sensor, whatever. You can do that, but I don't know, try the 28. It's awfully fun. So look, there's a bunch of things I like about this camera. I like the way that it handles, I like the way it feels in my hand, I like the way that it affects my photographic process. I don't think I'm gonna be using this as my only camera moving forward, but it's probably gonna be part of my arsenal. It's gonna be in my bag. I'm gonna be using it. It's just so much fun to have on me that there's no reason why I wouldn't want to have it. Plus more stuff. I've got room in my bag, I might as well fill it. I like the build quality. This is solid magnesium alloy body with this gorgeous black matte finish. It's stealthy, it makes me feel very good about myself when I'm using it. Ugh. Snap mode, that's the way I wanna shoot. Why has no other manufacturer included a hyperfocal mode in their camera? Why? Fuji, add it. I have to think that Ricoh has got a patent on that, on adding a mode for hyperfocal shooting or fixed focus distance shooting, because why would no one else add it? It's just a firmware hack. Why not put it in? So this is really the only camera that I know that has it, so I love it. I shoot with it this way with my Fuji. I mean, I keep my X Pro 2 set to its hyperfocal distance. So it's great to have this in this little compact camera. I've got some gripes about this camera. It's not perfect, no camera's perfect. The lens coming in and out sucks dust onto the sensor. It's gonna happen. You can't do a review of this camera without talking about that. It's something that happens. Brace yourself, it's gonna happen, and when it does, just deal with it. I understand that you can send it in for service. I think there's a charge for it, and there's even a tutorial online of guys that are like peeling off the rubber and opening this up and cleaning the sensor. I'm not doing that. So no way I'm doing that. So you can fix it if you want, but it's there. So just understand that that's gonna happen to you, and love this thing while you have it before that happens, and you know, that's it. Dust, sensor. The final thing that really pees me off about this, there's no charger. Come on. I mean, this is only like a $500 or $600 camera right now, but you seriously want me to plug this camera into a wall to charge the battery? The H, man. That's just the stupidest thing ever. Now, granted, I did go and get those extra Wasabi batteries that came with their own charger. So having the ability to charge in camera means if I'm on the road, I can charge 2 batteries at once. So I guess that's not a terrible thing, but you know, give us the option of having a charger. How much does a charger cost you? Like 35 cents to include it in the box? Come on. Ah! This is a lovely little camera. If you want to make this if you're just getting into street photography and you want a great camera to start out with that's gonna last you, no problem recommending this camera. It'll work. If you've been shooting for a long time, you've never thought of trying a Ricoh and you thought, should I? Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a tool. It's gonna serve you well, and it can serve as your only camera. Like it's just a lovely camera. I'm really glad I bought it. I'm kind of sad because, you know, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to sell this and then I'll get my money back and I'll go on to the next thing that I'm going to review, but it's going to be hard to let this guy go. I really like it that much. You know, I'd be interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this. Post some comments down below. Are you a GR user? Are you thinking about getting a GR? What's your take on it? I know how I feel. I'm pretty stoked about it, but tell me what you think. I'd like to hear. I'm Carl, Street Shooter, and that's enough of me. Now get out there and take some pictures already with whatever camera you have, even if it's not a Ricoh GR II or one. But if you don't have it, buy one.